Well, again, we're going to be looking at newspaper articles today. I've already done a bit of set out, so we can just get straight into it this morning. So, two main types of newspapers. We've heard them before, tabloid and broadsheet. Tabloid visually tends to look small, it's more compact than a broadsheet, which tends to be quite big. If you ever see in movies, if they're playing to be a serious character, they also have this big massive newspaper where you can't see their face. That tends to be a broadsheet. Tabloids tend to be very informal, okay? Tend to be very informal. They also tend to use more simplistic vocabulary, and that does not mean their grammar, it does not tend to mean that the sentence structuring is weak. It tends to use simplistic language in quite a clever way, okay? So, uses a simplistic vocabulary. Also, it looks like it's two separate words, it is not vocabulary. Also tends to use a shorter sentence structure and shorter paragraphs, quite short and snappy to get to the reader's head. So it's not meant to be a long, thoughtful, drawn out process reading a tabloid. It's meant to be quick and easy, in your head, as fast as possible, okay? So, short sentences and short paragraphs. On the opposite side of the spectrum is your broadsheet newspaper. Now these tend to be quite formal. Okay, so everything this is, imagine broadsheet, is the flip side of it. So you have more complex language. Okay? So really testing your vocabulary, really expanding it, getting a lot of synonyms in there for really good impact. They tend to use more complex sentences. And that is by adding either an embedded clause or a subordinate clause. An embedded clause is an extra bit of explanation put in the middle of a sentence, either in between two hyphens or two commas. So you take your reader out of the sentence to explain it, and you put them back in. If you take that embedded clause out, the full sentence should still make sense. A subordinate clause is the same, it's a bit of extra information, but it's added on at the end of your sentence, okay? So you take the end out, the first half still makes sense. You can introduce a subordinate clause by either a comma or a semicolon, okay? Don't introduce by full stop, because then you're starting a new sentence, and then that subordinate clause should not make sense by itself, okay? Now, within your newspaper genre, you have a couple of different types of how to write your stories. You've got a news article. These tend to appear at the front of the newspaper. They tend to include a lot of names, dates, places. Tends not to go into much detail because that's what's going to come later. So it's a brief overview of what's going to happen. It could include the first half of a story, but then not continue it. You have to buy the newspaper and actually look inside of it. So we have names, places, dates. Now, feature article, this is kind of, you've got your exam question, although it says write an article about, it's asking you to do a feature article. Okay, because not only is it asking you to give you a bit of news, but tell you why it happened. Okay, so what is the news? How did it happen? Who did it? Why? And then this is that makes it a feature. Why has it happened? Okay, so you as an expert need to think about the why. So it's your analysis of the situation. Okay, so you're going to be adding in facts and statistics, potentially in the what's the news, how did it happen. Your analysis of the situation could include opinion quotes from yourself and other experts, okay? So in this one, expert opinion. opinion, okay? So you need to know what you're talking about. If you watched the last video on leaflets, you will remember that in section A, what you're writing in section B will also be the theme of section A. So read the articles, the speeches that you have to analyse in that section A, and you can bring those themes and ideas into your section B, which can be your newspaper, okay? And that's where you're going to get your expert opinion. Remember, if you're using technical terms, you need to explain to your reader, potentially through an embedded or subordinate clause, what that term means, okay? You can also introduce it in brackets for your embedded clause and put the explanation in there. Right, this last one, an editorial column or opinion. These column opinions, editorials tend to happen in tabloids because they tend to be quite personal and chatty, okay? So we're going to write personal and chatty. They can be used to inform. In that case, you need your expert opinion. Again, like we said up here, really explain what that expert opinion is, what the techniques or the terminology you're using are, for example, a bit unrelated, but in one of the other worksheets that you have done in the past week was simplifying terminology. One of them was to simplify what javelins and throwing darts are. If you want to really simplify a javelin, it's a weapon. If you want to explain it, it is a weapon either used in competitive sport or in battle, okay? So you really want to simplify that for your reader. If they don't know what it is, they're going to get confused. And what you do not want as an author is a confused reader. A confused reader is not going to buy your newspaper. You really want to convince them to buy it. So you need to make everything simplified and well explained, okay? Layout of a newspaper, very, very important, because if you are asked to write a newspaper, you can lose points for structure if it's not laid out the way that it's meant to be. Okay, so we've got right at the top our headline. Okay, black and white, that'd be great. Headline, make sure that's big and bold on your page. We then want to go into our overview of what we're writing about. Okay? That's really important because nobody wants to read the whole story to find out what's happening. You want to kind of have an overview, kind of like the blurb back of a DVD before you buy it. You tend to read it, the back of a book before you read it. You tend to read it. It gives you a bit of information about the overall story. Okay? What you might want to put in above here might be a subheading. Okay, if you're subheading that, we want one here, maybe another one here. Okay, break up that storyline, make sure your readers know what's coming, okay? Then is what we're going to think about is the topic. Really need to have a grasp on what you're going to talk about because you're going to have 4 key points, okay? You don't need to label them 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just for your planning. This is where we're going to think about what happened, how it happened, who did it, and why. Okay, so we want our what, our how, the who, and the why. And with all this, we want your opinion, other opinions. Okay, so this is when we use our quotation marks and we're going to put in other experts or other witnesses. Okay, so Dr. Smith could be used. We could have a witness. So we could have Miss Doe, as in Jane Doe, because I'm not that imaginative with names. Now those in there, we want facts about the case or the article. What we're going to do, if it's an article about world hunger, we want statistics on that. We want facts on it, so we want facts/statistics to fully explain it. We want rhetorical questions as one of our devices. We want to challenge the reader on how they are interpreting the information. And when we're writing a rhetorical question, not only are we wanting to use it as an impact to make the reader think, we're going to phrase it in a way that persuades the reader to think a certain way. Because if you're thinking about a rhetorical question, it has an obvious answer. So you want to lead them to the answer you want, okay? After this, we're going to basically do another overview, but this overview is based on how you have expressed your concerns, okay? So, how have you expressed your concerns? Then we're going to finish it up with our conclusion, okay? Now this is when we can fire out a good triplet, when you triads, those three powerful words or phrases to really emphasize your point, okay, to get that across to your reader. You can have a really strong, powerful, isolated sentence to really conclude that. Again, your concluding paragraph needs to make an impression. You don't want to write an amazing start and middle and have it fizzle into nothing by the end. You really want to keep that momentum up and really have a powerful finish in there. By using one of our techniques, we can have an isolated sentence. Now you're probably all thinking, I haven't gone over our normal acronym. You do need to consider the DeForest techniques while writing a newspaper article. So we're going to put them right in here. We're writing a newspaper, we still need to include that direct address, okay? You're talking to them. You're going to use words like you, we, okay? All in there to really include that reader. We're going to use that alliteration as well. Short, snappy, really engage the reader with it. Again, we've already talked about our facts. A fact, not all non-fiction is fact. If you have a theory, that is your opinion based on facts, and your opinion is what you think of it, okay? Facts, opinion, we've just gone over that. Our rhetorical question, that's where we're going to want to guide the reader into answering the question the way we want them to answer it. Repetition. The idea of your article, you will have a example phrase, an example question that they want you to use to structure or base your article on. That's what you want to repeat. That idea all the way throughout your article. Pepper it in. Get it in your overview, in your key points, in that conclusion, and in your concluding overview as well. Repeat it throughout. Make sure that phrase is in your reader's head, okay? E, your mode of language. Again, our metaphors, that's our direct comparison. You can use some similes, which you're comparing to ideas, to objects, to things, using words such as like and as, okay? Got our adjectives in there. If we're doing maybe sport, we're talking about movement, we can add in some powerful adverbs or some dynamic verbs, okay? Really push your vocabulary on this one, try and bury it and push into that higher level. We want to have some statistics, and we want to have some triplets in there. We have discussed those within the example frame. This is what you need to think about when you're writing an article. Remember, if you're writing a broadsheet, that formal language, more complex sentences, more complex sentence structures. You're more likely to be asked for a broadsheet style response in your exam just because it's asking for those structural devices or opinions. That opinion editorial column, okay? That's where they will want to get you that humour and that irony in, okay? Think about this overview, how to set it out, and that will really help you. There is some example questions in your work pack. If and when you do your extended writing, send it in. I will mark it and I can send you back the results before you come in, okay? Keep up the work and stay safe, and thank you for watching.